Welcome again to No Apologies on Beck. I'm your host, Lori Hins. With me, remoting in from the great state of Oregon, the National Committeeman for the RNC, the Republican National Committeeman from Oregon, Solomon Yu, today to talk with us a little bit about China and U.S. relations. Solomon, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to get your take on this because you have a unique story. If you'd give our audience just a little bit of your background, I would love to hear about it.
Certainly. I was born in Communist China and survived Mao's Cultural Revolution and couldn't keep my mouth shut. My parents was told if I couldn't keep my mouth shut and the government couldn't make me disappear in the night, my parents would pay the bullet and my organ would be sold all over in Asia. Wow. So because of that, and my late grandfather realized I was in a lot of trouble. So he spoke with his friend, Dr. Glenn Orts, at World Methodist Conference in Hawaii, 1980. And Dr. Orts was president of Alaska Pacific University, formerly Alaska Methodist University. And Glenn said, don't worry, I'm going to get him a scholarship. And also, I would write to U.S. Consul General's office and get him a student visa as well. So he did all that in 4 months. I got a Chinese passport and U.S. student visa. I landed in Anchorage, Alaska on October 23rd, 1980. I only knew thank you and Coca-Cola. That's all I.
Well, those are staples. That's helpful. Where's the bathroom would be helpful too. That's all I know in Mexican or, in Spanish. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I had to start learning A, B, C, D and everything. Also, my English teacher threw away my Chinese and English dictionary, forced me to learn the language, think in English. And nowadays, I even dream in English.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Well, your background in knowing what China is all about on a very intimate level is invaluable in this, because we've been talking about Fufeng. We've been doing our China Conquest Inside Job series here at Beck Television, and you have seen a good portion of these. So I'm really looking forward to finding out your thoughts on this pattern of Chinese espionage. I would like to go back to a picture that I would like to show up on screen of a woman named Cindy Yang, and she had some time in the United States, and she was managing to get really close to Trump at one point, Solomon.
That's correct. This lady, Cindy Yang, showed up for Trump RNC/Trump fundraiser in Florida. So when you see this, you say, okay, somebody is willing to give $50K, right? And for a picture with Trump, and the picture will be signed by president. But the problem is, one, she didn't have $50K. She borrowed 10 from her husband, borrowed 10 from her mother, borrowed 10 from her receptionist front desk, and borrowed 10 from her masseuse. She owned a massage parlor. Then, so that from campaign finance law perspective was totally wrong. Okay, it's illegal. However, what she did next was very, very interesting. That picture was circulating in Beijing, and she took her advertisement in Chinese and invite Chinese government official, CCP leaders, and executives in Beijing. If you give me 100K, okay, I will bring you to Florida, have your picture taken with Trump 2. So she is going to park another 50,000. And pretty soon you realize something is going wrong. And if you heard a story, a Chinese woman, Chinese national, showed up in Florida.
Yes, I remember this
Thumb
story.
drive got a virus, and 7,000 cash in US dollars and 2 cell phones, and got stopped by Secret Service agent. What she didn't know was a friend and I already went to National Security Agency and shut this thing down. And so that fundraising activity got canceled. And she didn't know. She showed up with a virus thumb drive and tried to plan virus in Trump's Wi-Fi system at Mar-a-Lago.
Wow. Right. So that espionage actually occurred, and she did jail time, if I'm not mistaken, too, right? Solomon, didn't she do like 3 years in prison?
That woman, the Chinese national, yes, served 3 years in prison, just released, and I'm glad that they deported her back to China.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. I am Lori Hins. With me remotely is Solomon Yu from Oregon, the RNC National Committeeman from the great state of Oregon. And he's got all sorts of insights. We were last talking about Cindy Yang, but we've got another picture to show, and we're going to identify these individuals on this picture. You want to tell me who is in this picture from right to left, Solomon?
Yes. From right, the gentleman's name is Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee created a political organization called National Committee of Chinese American Republicans. And he also hired Cindy Yang, which is in the middle, and the same Cindy Yang as a fundraiser. Now, between Cindy Yang and Cliff Lee, the lady in the middle is Trump's sister. And so they were in Mar-a-Lago doing fundraisers, okay? And so that's how bad a penetration reached the kind of level we have seen. And that's why we shut this whole thing down.
Wow. Yeah, this is really important to know about this, too. Now, you sent me, when I asked you to be on the program, you sent me some articles, and I'm going to show them on screen so that people can see them. The first one that you will see on here is an article from a Chinese website, and it's the Chinese version of the Fufeng story here. Chinese companies just bought a piece of farmland in the United States and were hyped up as, quote, in quotation marks, espionage. I want you to speak to that red banner on the top, because I don't understand what those characters say, but you do, Solomon.
Yes, the red banner is very, very interesting, representing a magazine and publication during Mao's Cultural Revolution. And little translation is reference news, but that's not yet. All the CCP elites read that banner, and really means CCP insiders information for reference. So all the inside stuff, they can't talk about it. Elites need to know. And that is the magazine, and everybody read, okay? But the point is, this magazine in Chinese actually defending this deal. Now, you got to ask why, okay? Why you have Chinese version party elites, magazine, and publication defending this deal? My answer is very simple. You try to get all the PCP leaders on the same page, sing the same song. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. Now, you sent some other ones too. This next one here this was sent to me, and it's in Chinese. Now, fun fact, what I learned was if you can go to that page and you right-click on the page, it will allow you, Yahoo will give you an English translation. You click on English translation, and you get the next page, which is the exact same article. It's a Yahoo Taiwan one. The interesting thing about this is that it says Chinese enterprises' acquisition of agricultural land next to U.S. air bases has leaked military secrets. So this is a completely different version in Taiwan of this. So interesting, too. It says, according to U.S. media reports, a subsidiary of Shandong Fufeng Group recently spent millions of dollars on agricultural land near Grand Forks Air Force Base in North Dakota. And according to U.S. media reports, a subsidiary of Shandong Fufeng Group, this land near Grand Forks Air Force Base, because the air base has classified military resources, some U.S. lawmakers are worried that Beijing uses it as a base to conduct espionage activities, posing a threat to U.S. national security. Now, Shandong Fufeng Group, China's largest manufacturer, bought 370 acres of land. They went in to talk about the CNBC reporter Eamon Javers, who we have used on our reports. And at the very end, it says, but Fufeng's subsidiary in the United States refuted it, which is simply a figment. So that is so interesting to me that their view of this is that, there's nothing to see here. Right, Solomon?
That's correct. However, in the Taiwanese version of that article, disclosed something I thought was significant.
Okay.
The chairman of the Chinese company bought the land, used to be a deputy of 12 People's Congress of Shandong Province. It means he is well-connected communist. Nobody got that far. Basically, a state senator, let's say, in your state, right? And the other thing people don't realize is Chinese law and require, doesn't matter, state company or private company, they must cooperate with their intel service and provide intel information and to their intel service. So now you have a Chinese leader, business leader, who served as deputy of the People's Congress in Shandong Province. And he is the one buy the land.
Yeah.
And law require him to cooperate with the Chinese intel service.
Welcome back to No Apologies. I am Lori Hins. With me, Solomon Yu, the RNC National Committeeman from Oregon, with a kind of a hot take on some of the characters in play in Grand Forks, Solomon.
Yes. Actually, it was very interesting. I took your case and talked to a gentleman who worked with me and in national security community. And what he said was, you got a gentleman, Chinese government would target him in the first place. Council chairman, council president, you call, right? Sandy, Dana Sandy. And Dana actually teaches Chinese pilots and give them training and also bring them here. But the problem is, how do you know those are legitimate airline pilots, not PLA, People's Liberation Air Force pilots? That's first question. The second question, if you have a couple PLA pilots, they would already identify the need to have that location as listening post because it's so important right next to Air Force Base. Now, guess what? I said, okay, tell me more about this guy. I got a paragraph here. Dana led UDN into the unmanned aircraft system curriculum development arena by partnering with Crew Training International to develop the MQ-1 Predator and MQ-9 Raptor software training system used today by the United States Air Force. Dana is also responsible for sales and the management of the business side of all Chinese flight training provided by UND Aerospace, working directly with airline management. Now, this kind of stuff really is a big deal. and you have a reason to provide a facility and targeting a political rising star, and also be able to spy on a US base to steal drone technology.
Wow, that is amazing hearing it from that perspective, Solomon. Thank you for all of the due diligence and all the work you did on this and looking at it too. We will have you back for sure and give you updates as we keep following this story.